36. Pressure coming, Tupa deep. He's got the speedster, incomplete. It was thrown short. Ernie Jones was down there.
Intended for Ernie Jones, number 86.
And we welcome those of you who've been watching the Detroit-Chicago game. The Cowboys took advantage of a 71-yard kickoff return by Alexander Wright to open the ball game here and settled for a 36-yard field goal. Chicago comes from behind and defeats Detroit in that battle of Central Division leaders, 20-10.
Boy, and compared to the weather in Chicago, it's balmy here in Dallas.
Yeah, take off the jackets and the sweaters. Second down and 10. 3-0, Dallas leads. Draw play, Johnny Johnson. And he surges across the 40 down near the 36-yard line. That might be enough for a first down.
Johnny Johnson.
Well, the Cardinals continue to work on the left side of their offensive line here. Watch the counter action here to Johnson, and he'll get in behind Luis Sharp there, number 67, does a nice job of walling off the middle linebacker, and Johnny Johnson, with that strength, got real close to a first down.
Luis Sharp, one of the two 10-year veterans in that offensive line. The other is Tootie Robbins, and Johnson was 16 yards already. Had only 10 last week in the loss. 3 tight ends on third down, and that should be enough to move the chain for a Cardinal first down at the 36-yard line. 3-0 ball game. Dallas won the opener 17-9. Emmitt Smith had 182 yards in that one, but the Cardinals did control the ball and had it for 16 minutes more than Dallas.
And this is an impressive first drive for the Cardinals. They have opened things up. They hit Roll with the first play of the game on a nice pass. Johnny Johnson's got a few yards going, so Cardinals are in good shape to start this one.
Buffalo beats New England, and Houston scored late to tie Washington. First and 10. Johnson again. This time nothing there. Tony Casillas up on top. And Jimmy Jones down around the ankle.
Well, let's see how Casillas does this here as he's battling against Lance Smith here, number 61. He beats the double team, actually, pushes Smith away, and with help from Jimmy Jones, they stuff and drop Johnson for a 1-yard loss.
Tony Casillas, who grew up in Oklahoma, played at the university, troubles in Atlanta, and acquired this summer in a trade with the Falcons. Blitz coming, Tupa back, and has to get rid of it long before he wanted to, as Tony Tolbert was right in his face.
Pass intended for number 87, Ricky Prohl.
And that'll bring up third and 10.
One thing that Tom told me, the Cardinals this year have had trouble overcoming mistakes. They'll have a nice drive like this going along, and then they'll make one mistake. Somebody will miss a block, miss an assignment, drop a pass, and the whole drive will bog down. They've got to be able to come back from that one mistake to sustain drives.
Defensively, the Cowboys have given up 44% on third down conversions. That's been a weak spot of theirs. Blitz is coming. Tupa's back. He's chased, lets it go. In the middle, no flag on Robert Williams. Ricky Prohl asking for one. It'll be fourth down.
Well, the pressure on Tupa almost gets to him. You see Bates, number 40, coming on the blitz. Russell Maryland has a clean shot at the quarterback, and you see the athletic ability of Tupa. He avoids the sack and gets rid of the ball.
And that brings on Rich Camarillo to punt. He has been on a tear of late with an average of 45.8. Now, this is really disadvantageous to that average because he's at the 36.
Tell the son of a bitch to give a chance.
And I hope somebody will tell him that. Here's the high punt. Takes a bounce, and oh boy! Ken Harvey could not stop it at the 1. It goes in for a touchback.
Well, the key play on that drive was the play of Tony Casillas and Jimmy Jones when they stuffed Johnny Johnson on a first down carry. The Cardinals then failed on 2 pass attempts, faced with a blitz from the Cowboys and a punt. And again, the Cardinals have a nice drive, and yet they can't continue it.
Ken Harvey trying to save Camarillo's punt. And it does sometimes bounce funny, doesn't it?
Well, it's like a baseball player. You got to get your body in front of it. He tried to keep it out of the end zone with just one hand.
3-4 Cardinal defense. Cowboys have a first down. Emmitt Smith. And he's over right tackle to the 23-yard line. Defensively for the Phoenix Cardinals, Faulkner, Waller, and Patterson up front. Linebackers are led by Ken Harvey and Freddie Joe Nunn, Jackson Hill in the middle. And in the secondary, Tim McDonald is having an all-pro year. Aeneas Williams, a rookie. Lynch and Zordich complete that quartet. That, by the way, only the 4th touchback this season for Camarillo. And it'll be second down now for the Cowboys. They lead it 3-0 midway through the first quarter. Aikman to throw. Harvey slips. Michael Irvin with a catch. First down yardage at the 32-yard line in front of Lorenzo Lynch.
A big part of the Cowboy offense today will be check with me calls by Aikman at the line of scrimmage. He notices this is the Bear 46 defense. It's a run defense, something designed to stop Emmitt Smith. Well, Aikman will audible to the pass play here because he has single coverage on the outside. Irvin beats the coverage by Lynch. Cowboys get a first down.
Michael Irvin, the #1 receiver in terms of number of catches in the NFC. That's his 43rd. Number 2 is Jay Novacek, the man in motion right now. He's got 40. 1. Aikman deep. Wide open to Irvin. And he is out of bounds with a big gain to the Cardinal 43. Lorenzo Lynch chasing him. And a gain of 25.
Well, the play action here will hold these linebackers, and then in behind them will come Michael Irvin. Irvin bills himself as the playmaker. Well, 83% of his catches this year have gone for first downs. He's 2 for 2 today.
Michael Irvin, who is from Fort Lauderdale, the 15th of 17 children. And an All-American at the University of Miami. First down and 10. Aikman again with time. Deep for Alvin Harper. And the rookie makes the catch at the 6.
Now the Cowboys are airing it out because, again, the Cardinals come with the run defense here. Straight drop back, man-to-man in the secondary, but this is a heck of a throw and catch by the Cowboys. That ball is perfectly thrown between the 2 defenders. Cowboys are at the 6-yard line.
Jimmy Johnson saying that Alvin Harper is a bigger and faster version of Michael Irvin. And that's one of the reasons he's got him in there. That's only his 4th catch of the year. Emmitt Smith inside the 5 near the 3.
And in getting back to what Tim McDonald of the Cardinals talked to us about yesterday, he said the key to this game is stopping Emmitt Smith and forcing Troy Aikman to beat us. Well, right now, Troy Aikman is getting time to throw, and he's beating the Cardinals with his right arm.
Tim McDonald, number 46. Did a terrific job on Novacek in the first game and said he might not have sole responsibility for him today. Aikman in the meantime is 4 of 4 for 80 yards. I formation. Emmitt Smith, touchdown Dallas. Followed the block of Daryl Johnston.
Well, the Cowboys' favorite running play is the lead draw. As you said, Vern, Aikman gives the ball to Emmitt Smith deep in the backfield. Emmitt follows Daryl Johnston, gets in behind that right side, Giesick, Stepnoski, and Nate Newton. And this is what it looks like if you're playing safety. Johnston really didn't have anybody to block until he got to the goal line.
Yeah, kind of nudged Michael Zordich out of the way. And for Emmitt Smith, his 6th rushing touchdown of the year. The extra point by Willis is good. And Dallas on top, 10-0, 4:37 to go in the first quarter.
Well, Aikman is 4 for 4 passing, and he gives the look of a pass right here. Watch as he comes back deep. The secondary just kind of hang around here. Nobody is challenging this running play. Johnston comes to meet Zordich, but Zordich is in the back of the end, right at the goal line there, and that's an easy touchdown for Emmitt Smith. Good play selection there by the Cowboys and their offensive coordinator, Norv Turner.
Emmitt Smith with 6 yards now. Came in as the leading runner in the NFL. And one small footnote to that, in their 31-yard history, no Dallas Cowboy has ever won the rushing title in the National Football League.
Now, that's a heck of a trivia question. You would think that Tony Dorsett would have won 1 or 2 there.
Calvin Hill, never happened.
It's interesting, statistically speaking, Emmitt Smith is averaging 96 yards rushing a game, while the entire Cardinal team is averaging 87 yards rushing a game. So you see a bit of a difference there.
Now, one other just footnote to it all, Emmitt Smith with his 6th touchdown on the ground. The Cardinals as a team have scored twice on the ground this year. Once by Tupa. Anthony Edwards with a kickoff return. And Kenneth Gant hauls him down at the 31-yard line. That's a return of 20, and Tom Tupa and the Cardinal offense come back on. Final score, Cincinnati finally.
Well, you know, that was a dogfight there in the jungle, and no dog pound for the Cleveland Browns. 23-21, heck of a game there.
Cleveland had a field goal blocked with 9 seconds to go. And now there's a whistle on the field, and they reset the chain. Cardinals' second possession, Dallas a field goal and a touchdown. Its first 2 times out with the ball. They throw on first down again. Ricky Proehl. Isaac Holt with the helmet high tackle. Holt, who will play a gambling style of quarterback.
Well, he is, but lately he's been playing a little bit too soft. This is 12 yards from the receiver. This is way, way too far to play off a guy. He gets a good break and he holds Proehl to just a 4-yard gain, but somewhere along the line that is going to cost Isaac Holt. That's too soft a coverage.
Second down. Johnson goes left, cuts back, big hole, flag is down. If the play stands, it'll be a first down at the Cowboy 49, but that might be holding. It is. And wipes out a 16-yard gain.
Holding, 67, offense, second down.
Well, if he held, he did it with his left hand. That's Louise Sharp.
Yeah, he's got a cast on his right thumb because of stretched ligaments in that thumb. But in talking to Tupa about how do you overcome all the problems you've had offensively, he said that in practice, they have broken practices down to each individual down and distance situation, and in practicing those situations and in studying tapes of what the Cowboys have done to them in the past, they're literally taking one play at a time and trying to improve on each individual play.
Larry Centers enters the game for the Cardinals just off the injured reserve list. The handoff on the draw play to Johnson, and he manages to march out near the 33-yard line.
To give to number 39, Johnny Johnson.
Overtime, the Jets beat Green Bay 19-16, and the sad season continues.
Number 23
for Lindy Infante
number 37,
and the Green Bay Packers.
Well, the Packers have got to schedule Tampa more often.
That's right.
Their last 3 wins going back to last year have all been against that other Bay team.
Third down, 7.
Tom Tupa for the season, 6 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 3rd and 7. With time comes right. And Ricky Proehl was a little bit too far to the outside in front of Isaac Holt. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, but Tupa's getting good time to throw, and he's throwing the ball well. That was very catchable for Proehl. Somebody on this Cardinal football team has to come up with that type of play to give their team a lift. They're down 10-0. They need a spark somewhere.
Now Camarillo with that first punt of 36. His net average the last 3 weeks has been over 40 yards. This one is okay by his standards. Kelvin Martin is back to return the punt. Derek Shepard, who normally occupies that spot, is on the injured reserve list after last week. 42-yard punt and 5 on the return.
Wolfley and Braxton making the stop for the Cardinals.
Talking to Jimmy Johnson yesterday about his concerns with all these rookies playing. He says he's most concerned about the play of Eric Williams because he's got to protect Aikman's blind side. And the biggest thing that Williams will be facing are different adjustments on his pass blocking assignments. If he busts an assignment, he gets a busted quarterback.
And already he's given up the 1 sack to Ken Harvey. Harvey lined up, taking aim. Hand off to Emmitt Smith, and he tests the middle of the line for a surge out near the 36-yard line.
The give to number 22, Emmitt Smith. Pulls his way forward.
So Emmitt Smith, who came into the ball game, is the leading ground gainer in the NFL, has picked up 12 on 5 carries now.
Contact made by number 50, Freddie Jonan.
Smith almost as proud of the number of catches he's had out of the backfield. Welcome those of you who've been watching the New York Jets defeat the Green Bay Packers. Our score in Dallas is 10-0. The Cowboys have scored both times they've had the ball. This is number 3, and on second down, Emmitt Smith breaks a tackle and goes for first down yardage to the 42. Vern Lundquist along with Dan Fouts. And to give you a quick recap, Alexander Wright returned the opening kickoff 71 yards. That set up a 36-yard field goal by Ken Willis. The Cardinals managed to get to the Cowboy 36 but had to punt. Dallas moved 80 yards behind the passing of Troy Aikman to set up a 1st and goal. And then Emmitt Smith got the touchdown to put Dallas on top by a 10-zip count.
Yeah, Aikman's off to a great start, huh? 4 for 4 for 80 yards.
Aikman, who has thrown 4 interceptions in the last 2 games, doesn't have that many this season. He's back. Here comes Harvey. And Harvey got there just about the time was delivered, and the catch is made. Well, let's find out what's going on with the 49ers and the Falcons. Here's Greg Gumbel in New York.
Unbelievable game in 14 Atlanta, Vern.
Bay 16.
My gracious. Did you ever have a Big Ben play work?
Not me.
Emmitt Smith cut down on second down.
Yeah, you see that play work for the Falcons, and you think of Billy White Shoes, don't you?
You bet. You bet.
They had a patent on that play. Bartkowski. Looked like Billy Joe threw that one up there pretty good, too.
Both starting quarterbacks in that game were injured. Here, Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith have led the Cowboys thus far. Aikman 5 of 5 for 85 yards.
You know, if 6 more quarterbacks get hurt in this league, I may dust off the old pads, Vern, and leave you.
I'll miss you, but the pay's better. That's the end of the first quarter of play.
It's now time for the lucky number.
And they will switch ends of the field as Joe Bugle tries to urge his offensive team on. His defensive mates are out there now. By the way, Garth Jacks, who was listed as a starter, has not played except on the kickoff, and Tyrone Stowe has been in at linebacker, so we'll check on that. But a quick recap, 10-0. And let's go back to Dan and take a look at Emmitt Smith's touchdown.
Well, it's the Cowboys' favorite running play, the lead draw, the fake of the pass, and now you give the ball deep in the backfield to your tailback. He follows the fullback through a huge hole, and it's an easy touchdown for Emmitt Smith. He's scored 6 touchdowns this year. He's scored 3 of them against this Cardinal football team.
Final now, Michael Haynes' catch on the alley-oop, 17-14.
Big question there is the health of Steve Young. Stretched some ligaments in that ball game.
And what does that do to the potential wild card hopes of the San Francisco 49ers? Wow.
Well, and you think the way the 49ers have played the last couple of weeks that they were back, but if you lose your starting quarterback in any game, your chances of winning are not very good. Very few teams can overcome that. although the Lions did it last week against these Cowboys when Rodney Peete got hurt and Eric Kramer came in.
Third down for the Cowboys now. This is their second third down conversion. They're 0 for 1. Stepnoski over the ball, 3 wide receivers, and a blitz coming. Good protection, and Aikman goes right, incomplete. In front of Robert Massey, intended for Irvin.
Robert Massey, number 40, defensive.
And Mike Saxon will come on to punt.
Dallas fourth down situation from their own 46-yard line. And
Saxon, who last week in Detroit surpassed the 500 punt level for the Cowboys. And John Jackson is back to return it for the Phoenix Cardinals. He waits at the 14. 10-0, Dallas on top. That is returnable. Jackson at the 10. He is belted up high by Kenneth Gant. Bill Bates and Reggie Cooper are down at the bottom of the tile. A 44-yard punt and 6 on the return.
Number 93, Reggie.
Welcome those of you who watched that thrilling San Francisco-Atlanta game as the Falcons get the alley-oop pass at the end of regulation. Dallas leads Phoenix here 10-0 in the opening moments of quarter number 2. Vern Lundquist and Dan Fouts. Atlanta wins it by 3. The Cowboys used a 71-yard kickoff return by Alexander Wright, followed by a field goal, and then an 80-yard drive and a touchdown on the ground by Emmitt Smith to go on top. Here's Johnny Johnson on the sweep left.
That'll work, Johnny!
Somebody liked it. And right now, let's go back to New York for an update with Greg Gumbel.
Well, Vern, it's all over at RFK Stadium. 4:01 into overtime. Chip Lohmiller from 41 yards out gives the Redskins the 16-13 win over Houston. The Redskins play Atlanta next week, Vern.
I think Lohmiller has a chance to go to the Pro Bowl.
Boy, I tell you what, he's having a career this year. Great stats, great clutch kicking.
Up the middle, and that's good out to the 26-yard line. I was watching one of the programs this morning, and somebody said they didn't think the Redskins had been tested this year in going to 9-0. Well, memories are short. The Cowboys on a Monday night in the second game of the season had an 11-point lead over Washington here, and the Redskins came back to win by 2.
And it wasn't for that diet drink or whatever that drink was that Emmitt Smith drank that made him sick. Cowboys might have won that ball game. Some type of Carboplex type of supplement that he promises he'll never try again.
Lohmiller had a big night here then too. First down and 10, Phoenix. Ernie Jones starts in motion. Tupa to throw on first down. Pump fake, nobody open, and it's almost picked off. As Tim Jordan, the H-back, who has only 9 grabs for the season, could not hang on and make it number 10.
Number 37, Washington.
Well, this is a nice fake by Tupa. He's trying to throw the out and up move to the outside against Isaac Holt. The offensive line does a super job. The ball's thrown a little bit behind Tim Jordan, but you've got to make that grab. That's just a drop pass by Tim Jordan.
Makes it a second down and 10. Tom Tupa now 3 of 8 for 28 yards. And they have indeed been throwing on first down. Here's Johnson. Big hole. Here's a young man who went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie 7th-round choice. He has been bothered by a strained arch much of the season, but he picks up 15 there.
Well, the big offensive line on the right side here, you notice there's Jordan, and they all come off. It's man-to-man blocking. Johnson gets in behind him and just picks the hole. But everybody gets a hat on everybody. You see number 58, that's Dixon Edwards. He ran himself out of the play there. Just some rookie inexperience.
Johnson coming left this time. Gets by Jeffcoat. And he works his way out to the 49-yard line. Johnson already over the 50-yard mark. He does not have a 100-yard effort yet this year.
Yeah, his best was that 93-yarder against the Cowboys. But he's going to get well over 100 if this type of play continues. Deceptive speed to get to the outside, to get beyond Jeffcoat. and again, about an 8-yard gain.
Defensively for Dallas, Danny Noonan is in. He has replaced Tony Casillas. Russell Maryland is also in on that defensive line. Second down and short, play action. Tupa, left side, Ricky Proehl. First down, Phoenix at the 37-yard line.
Well, that's the quarterback's dream down and distance situation, second and short. They fake the running play up in the middle, and then you have your wide receiver isolated outside. Proehl against Larry Brown. Ball is a little bit late, but Brown was so far off that Tupa could really make sure of the throw.
Second time now the Cardinals have moved the ball across midfield. They got as far as the 36 on their opening possession. And the punt. Then we're stalled 3 and out, but here's the draw play. Anthony Thompson coming left. And Larry Brown goes down around the ankles to make the stop. Thompson giving Johnny Johnson some temporary relief.
Larry Brown, number 24, made the initial contact.
Greg Davis, Plan B acquisition from Atlanta in the offseason, just in case.
Second down, 10.
Sellout crowd at Texas Stadium. If there are 60,000 plus here today, and every ticket was sold, just depends on the no-shows, it would be the 12th consecutive crowd of over 60,000, and that would be a Cowboy record. Dallas has used one of its 3 timeouts. They stopped the clock, leading by 10, but the Cardinals are threatening.
Cheerleaders is Cherokee.
Let's get you up to speed on what's happened here at Texas Stadium. To open the game, Alexander Wright returned the kickoff 71 yards. That set up a 36-yard field goal. Then Emmitt Smith got a touchdown following an 80-yard drive, during which Troy Aikman was 4 for 4. And as a result, the Cowboys went up 10-zip on their first 2 possessions. The Cardinals now, however, have moved to the Cowboy 37 with a second down and 9. Tupa will throw. Sends it for Thompson, and it's in between Thompson and the wide receiver, Ernie Jones, and it'll be third down.
Real good pressure on Tupa by Tony Tolbert.
From number 92, Tony Tolbert.
As he got those big hands up and appeared to deflect this ball. From the left side of the screen will come number 92. Tupa looking for his outlet receiver. And boy, Tolbert didn't get his hands up. He just lowered his head and buried it in Tupa's chest.
Tolbert leads the Cowboys in sacks this season with 4. That's him, number 92. Now the nickel defense is in. And Larry Centers is the running back behind Tom Tupa on 3rd and 9. Cowboys look like they might be blitzing. They dance up. There are no flags. Tupa reads the hot receiver. Larry Centers for the first down. Nice play by the quarterback and the running back.
Well, the Cowboys kind of tipped their hand, though, Vern. As you said, it looked like they're coming on the blitz. Well, watch these guys right in the middle here. In fact, Horton comes from way back here and almost jumps off sides. He's right inside there, and now a super job of getting the ball to the halfback. And look who's got to cover the halfback. That's defensive end Jim Jeffcoat. That's what you might call a mismatch.
Here's Tupa, hands it off to Johnson, who gets it as far as the 20-yard line. He will have 60 yards in the ball game after that carry. That's his 9th tote so far, 9 for 62.
Well, last week when the Cardinals were shut out by the Minnesota Vikings, the closest they ever got to the end zone was just the 32-yard line. So as they stand on the 20 now, this is their first trip inside that old red zone in a couple of weeks.
Well, Joe Bugle's got to like his running game so far.
He's got to like his entire offense. They're doing a nice job, but they controlled the ball in the first game between these 2 teams and didn't win.
Second down and 6, play fake. And a lot of time. Now here comes the pressure, and it goes to Jordan, the H-back, to the 15-yard line as Tony Tolbert was coming on a delayed rush, and Tupa avoided him and found his H-back, Jordan.
Gain of 5 on the play.
Once inside the 20 this season, the Cardinals had enormous problems.
Well, they're only averaging 12 points a game, and when you're kicking all those field goals instead of getting touchdowns, that's about all you're going to be able to average.
Now Ron Wolfley comes in offensively for the Cardinals. 3rd and 1. Jordan in motion. First down, Phoenix. Johnson to the 11.
Vern, you talked about Ron Wolfley. He's a special teamer, but he's also an outstanding blocker. Here he is as the fullback here, and he goes at about 230 pounds. Watch the push that he gives Johnson over this left side behind Luis Sharp. Great block by Sharp, opens the hole for Wolfley to get in, and Johnson's right in behind him. Big first down for the Cardinals.
Ron Wolfley, who has been to the Pro Bowl as a special teams player, yet to carry the ball or catch one this season, but helping out with his blocking effort. 1st and 10, Phoenix down 10-0. Little misdirection play, and Johnson is stopped. Loss of 1. And the surge is led by Jack Del Rio and Tony Casillas.
Number 39, Johnny Johnson, is smothered by number 55, Jack.
Well, you talked about it being a misdirection play here, Vern, but it doesn't fool Casillas right in the middle here. They try to kick him out to the outside, but Tony Casillas is just too good an athlete for Bill Lewis to have to hold his block that long. That's asking your center to do an awful lot.
2nd down, 11. 10-0 Phoenix. Into the flat, cut by Larry Centers. And Dixon Edwards with a shirt tackle that time. And the ball is down at the 6. It'll be about 3rd and 5.
And Bugle was excited about getting Centers back into the lineup. He broke his left foot earlier this year, but what Centers gives Bugle is his best pass blocking running back, but also his best pass receiving running back. And on 3rd down and in obvious passing situations, Centers is very valuable.
This is the 15th play of the drive, and they chewed 6:40 off the clock. 3rd and 5. Cowboys hand it off inside to Centers. That'll be 1st and goal at the 1. Now this is a football team that has scored on the ground just twice this year.
Well, we talked about his blocking and catching. Well, I guess he can run the ball pretty good, too. This is a trap play. Lewis does a super job of coming down on Russell Maryland, and Centers gets it all the way inside the 1-yard line. Watch Lewis come over and seal off Maryland, number 67. There's a big hole for Centers, and he gets down inside the 1.
Bill Lewis telling us last night he enjoys playing with this huge offensive line because at 295, he looks skinny. I formation. Johnson, touchdown Phoenix. And that, if you can imagine, is Johnny Johnson's first rushing touchdown of 1991.
Yeah, Joe Bugle loves it too, because his team did that blue collar work, that hard work down in the pits there. Johnson, 225 pounds or so, just too strong and powerful. Again, it's behind Wolfley on the right side this time. Wolfley takes out Del Rio, and that's an easy touchdown for the Cardinals.
What an impressive drive for the Phoenix Cardinals.
Jim Jordan is the holder.
Greg Davis out of Jordan's hold. The kick is up. That was a fine effort on the hold. And a flag is down.
Flags on the play.
Connie Kawhi apologizing for the center. It wasn't his best.
Offside. Number 30 on the defense. The point will score.
Over here, Tom.
On the kickoff.
Over here, Tom.
I think Tom's offside.
There you go.
6:11 remaining in the first half of play. Our Dallas.
Man always did know where the camera was.
4 minutes, 50 seconds on the clock.
Sun dominating a corner of Texas Stadium, but a chilly afternoon, 43 degrees at kickoff. And Alexander Wright and Ken Gant wait for the kick. This will be right at the goal line. He had one of 71 yards the first time out, this time only back to the 20-yard line. And the Cowboys will have the ball at their own 20 following the tackle by Sidney Coleman. Time has been called on the field. We've got 6:01 remaining in the first half. An 84-yard drive by the Cardinals in 16 plays gave them 7 points.
There's a call timeout.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.
Midway through the second quarter, Dallas leading by 3. The difference in the ball game right now, a 36-yard field goal by Ken Willis. Troy Aikman is 5 of 6 for 85 yards, completed his first 4 passes en route to the Cowboys' 1 touchdown in the ball game. Emmitt Smith, Daryl Johnston in the backfield. Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper are the wide receivers, and Jay Novacek the tight end. And Aikman to throw on first down. Comes to the right side. And it's intended for Aeneas Williams, receiving some vocal congratulations from his teammates.
Well, we see this tight coverage by number 35, Aeneas Williams, on Michael Irvin. It's a good throw way to the outside. The ball does get through to Irvin, and it appeared that Williams just got a fingernail on that ball, and that kept Irvin from making the grab.
And it brings up a 2nd down and 10. 10-7 ball game. Draw play, Emmitt Smith, who has been overshadowed by Johnny Johnson so far in this game, and Tim McDonald, number 46, makes the tackle. McDonald telling us last night, we must stop Emmitt Smith.
Well, the game he had against the Cowboys, or against the Cardinals earlier in the year, where on the very first drive on 3rd down, he goes 60 yards, and then that's just 3rd of his night. He had a lot of big runs against the Cardinals, and you know that when somebody does that to you the first time around, if you're going to get beat, you're not going to get beat by the same guy.
Alvin Harper, number 80, comes wide right. 3rd and 8. 5-man rush, blitz coming, they got him. Lorenzo Lynch was the first man there, number 29. And it'll be 4th down at the 11.
Yeah, Lorenzo Lynch had company too, and help from Ken Harvey.
Ready Joe Nunn claiming that he got the ball.
The play has been ruled down by contact on the whistle. The whistle has blown.
So there will be no review.
I think it's a good thing that Dooley turned off his microphone.
Well, here's Lynch coming right up in Aikman's face, but from the backside again, it's Ken Harvey with the sack as he beats Eric Williams. That's 2 sacks now for Ken Harvey.
And that ball was loose.
Yes, it was. That's such a tough call when the whistle blows. There's no way you can review it, though.
Saxon from the end zone as this Cardinal defense holds for the first time. That's a dandy kick by Mike Saxon. John Jackson at the 35, but he's got a lot of room to return it. Gets a terrific block, fumbles the ball, and Dallas has recovered Bill Bates, the longtime hero of the special teams of the Cowboys.
Oh, you're not kidding. His name has been synonymous with special teams. Well, you talk about a big mistake for the Cardinals. There's Jackson going off the field, number 80. He was running in the free, and the ball just popped right out of his hands.
Billy Bates, who is playing with a broken left hand, and John Jackson, who didn't have the football all of a sudden, and now he gets to chat with Joe Bugle. And Bugle looks like he's got some encouraging words for him.
Well, let's take a look at it. Watch as he's running in the clear here, and the ball just comes right out of his hand. At that time, Bates was closing from the inside, and he dives out and makes the recovery with a broken left hand. Heck of a play.
Time has been called.
Well, Johnny Jackson's got a good wall here. Here's Wolfley, and here is Tommy Agee. Now watch Steve Weich come in and wipe out Tommy Agee. Gets Jackson down the sideline here, and the ball will just slip right out of his hands.
Cowboys open with a double tight end now on first down. Here's Aikman. Emmitt Smith got some room. Fumble! And it goes right to a teammate. What a fortuitous bounce. Michael Irvin, he of the good hands.
Emmett Smith with the first
As Emmett Smith has not fumbled a football in his last, how many does he have today? 9 runs, 215 runs. And he just did.
Well, see who gets the hit on him, Vern. It's Tim McDonald, but it's Lorenzo Lynch. But McDonald kind of pushes the ball up in the air. And there's Michael Irvin just kind of chilling out there, side of that pile. That's a lucky bounce.
215 carries without a fumble until that one. And then he gets the good break. Play fake, Aikman. Pressured, caught and dropped. It's Ken Harvey again. He is making life miserable for the 320-pound rookie, Eric Williams. And an official.
That's Tom Dooley, our referee for this afternoon. He's a little slow getting up. Says he's okay. But Ken Harvey, as you mentioned earlier, Vern, it's been 4 weeks since he got his last sack. He's got 3 already today.
Ken Harvey, who grew up in Austin, 200 miles south of here.
Well, here's our official, Tom Dooley. Let's check out what happens to him here. He gets a little too close to the action, and that's Stepnoski that rolls right into his knees.
And a second down and 13. But Eric Williams is playing in place of Mark Tuanay, who is missing his 4th consecutive game with a pulled groin muscle. And he's having trouble on that left side. Emmett Smith searches for room, and he gets about 2 until Tyrone Stone, number 90, makes the tackle.
Boy, and it's we're talking to Jimmy Johnson yesterday, and we asked him what was his main concern, especially starting these rookies. He said, well, the pass protection obviously is a big part of it, but they're really missing Tuanay. Not so much that he's such a great player, but that he is, but it's his practice habits, the example he sets for a lot of these youngsters.
Tuanay is dressed today, number 71, but not expected to play except in dire emergency. 3rd and 11. Here comes the pressure again. Aikman finds Novacek, and he finds Lorenzo Lynch, slips him, and will come up just short of the first down at the 49-yard line. The Cowboys will have to punt. David Braxton, a part of the tackle. So the Cowboys, who moved the ball easily on their second offensive possession, have had problems since then. And Aikman will depart in favor of Mike Saxon. 10-7 ball game, 2:33 to go before halftime. And John Jackson is back.
We got Berline in the ball game.
And the Cowboys, Saxon goes over and winds up as a wide receiver, and the Cardinals, recognizing some defensive deficiencies, call timeout. As all of a sudden Berline was in there, and some alert Cardinal saw him. Sold out Texas Stadium in Irving. The Cowboys up by a 10-7 score. Watch what happened on that punt.
Well, there's Berline. There's Ricky Blake. The punter is way outside to the outside. But they did force the Cardinals to use one of their 3 timeouts.
Ron Wolfley knew he had some problems, and he called timeout, so Phoenix now down to 2. Now Saxon in a regular punt set. Sends it deep, and it bounces and goes into the end zone for a touchback. Well, both Camarillo and Saxon with their 4th touchbacks of the season. And Mike a little discouraged by that one. 2:14 to go before halftime. The Cardinals trail by 3.
This game summary is sponsored by McLean Deluxe.
Passing yardage thus far fairly even, and they're also early, even though it's a late game. Ken Harvey with 3 quarterback sacks. Johnny Johnson already with 66 yards on the ground, and the only offensive spark for the Cowboys has been Troy Aikman, 6 of 8 for 93. Now Joe Bugl's ball club has a 1st and 10 with 2:14 to go and 2 timeouts left. Tupou will run it on 1st down, and Johnson out to the 26-yard line. See if they can get one more play off before the 2-minute warning. They will not. So the clock stops at the 2-minute warning. Phoenix has a 2nd down and 3, and they trail by 3, 10-7. Joe Bugle, the head coach of the Cardinals, his team 4-5, said he fell asleep on the plane coming in yesterday. There was an empty seat beside him. He woke up to find the owner of the Cardinals, Bill Bidwell, sitting in that seat. He said, "Yes, Mr. Bidwell, what do you want?" He said, "Just win." He said, "I think I just had a staff meeting."
Yeah, he sure did. Very small meeting.
Second down, Tupa back. And again with time, Larry Centers has the ball before Kent Norton makes the tackle out to the 32-yard line, 1:50 to go.
Tackled by number 51.
Well, Centers working out of the backfield, and he's going to read the coverage here, sees that it's zone. He's supposed to stop when it's zone. Catches the ball, picks up a couple of yards, enough for the first down.
On 1st and 10 from the 33. And again, a four-man rush. Tupa finds Randall Hill, his speedy rookie wide receiver, for another first down at the 45-yard line.
Knocked out of bounds by number 30, Isaac.
This offense was totally inept last week against Minnesota, and look already today. First downs 12, rushing yardage 80, and the passing yardage is not bad either.
Well, Bugle challenged his football team. He says, "Hey, we're too good to be shut out like we were against the Vikings." He went after Tupa a little bit, said, "You've got to perform better." Well, Joe has motivated his team, and he's getting the results now.
They trailed by 3, 1:27 to go before halftime. And again, here comes the pressure from Jeffcoat, and the umpire got in the middle of all of that.
Tupa, the keeper.
But remember, the Cardinals are working now with less than their 3 timeouts because they had to use 1 on the field goal. They had to, on the punt return.
They use their second now. They've got 1 left. Packers halftime report. Greg and Terry with all the scores, highlights, and latest information from around the league, and any number of very close games earlier this afternoon. And we've got another one here. 10-7 Dallas on top. Second down and 8. Cardinals with 1:15 to go before halftime. Tupa, quarterback draw. How about that call? For heaven's sakes, that's a first down at the 43.
Tupa showing his athletic ability. Now he's going to kill the clock with a incomplete pass, but in talking to Bugle and saying how much that they miss Tim Rosenbaugh, well, they miss Rosenbaugh's obvious leadership, but the other part about it is when Tupa scrambles, he's looking to throw the ball, whereas when Rosie scrambled, he was looking to make some yards. But that's a heck of a play call by Jerry Rome and Joe Bugle, giving the ball to Tupa on the quarterback draw. You know the Cowboys weren't expecting it.
And another 13 yards. They are well within Greg Davis's field goal range for a tie. They are 43 yards away from a go-ahead score. Second down and 10. Go-ahead touchdown. Roll in motion. Cowboys rush 4. Tupa has it batted down in the line by Russell Maryland. There's the number 1 draft choice, who thus far this season has not had a lot of playing time. Only 3 tackles for the first draft choice in the NFL this year.
Yeah, but this is what Jimmy Johnson is counting on, though, is his quickness to get to the quarterback. Well, he's getting closer. He doesn't have any sacks yet, but that'll go down as a pass defense, something that the Cowboys have had a tremendous history of doing, especially when you think about players like Too Tall Jones and Harvey Martin.
3rd and 10, Phoenix from the 43. And again, the Cowboys send 4. Tupa goes right, incomplete. A one-hopper at the feet of Ernie Jones.
Well, again, that good drive that the Cardinals get going bogs down, and instead of getting in position to kick a field goal, they got to bring the punter on and kick the ball back to the Cowboys.
That'll bring on Rich Camarillo, 2-time Pro Bowler. Ray Horton is the deep man, but he's just now drifting back. He's at the 25-yard line. Fourth and 10. Nice and high. And it takes a cowboy roll out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Well, a man who's had a net 40-yard punting average over the last 3 weeks. Handicapped by poor field position today, and that was not a very good punt. Only 16 yards. Cowboys get the ball back.
This bounce of the ball out of bounds saves Rich Camarillo from a punter's worst nightmare, and that's downing your own punt. 16-yarder.
Just want to keep heading for the tunnel. And the Cowboys get it back. They have 2 timeouts left. They are at the 28-yard line with a 10-7 lead, and they have not moved the ball here in the second quarter.
Well, the Cardinals have changed up their defensive front enough to keep the Cowboys off balance a little bit. They've gone with a 46 defense in their 34. Now they're in their nickel defense.
3 wide receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Draw play, Aikman to Emmitt Smith. And he's out to the 34-yard line. And Aikman hurries his offensive troops back to the line.
Boy, he ought to be using a timeout here. They've got 2 to go. But too much time off that clock.
Deep left side has a man open, Alvin Harper. And that is the first time this season that Alvin Harper, the #1 draft choice from Tennessee, has 2 catches in a game.
But they wasted way too much time, though, on the previous series where they could have stopped the clock with the timeout. They're going to go into the locker room now, probably with 1 timeout left in the bag.
At the 49, they need another 17 yards or so to give Ken Willis a shot. 18 seconds to go. Aikman is sacked again. That's the 4th sack of the first half.
And the first of Eric Swan's NFL career. Number 98, the first guy taken by the Cardinals this year, is on the right side of the screen working against John Giesick. This is a coverage sack, though. You look at Aikman, look around, and he's got nobody to go to, and there's Swan with his first sack.
At halftime, a gigantic show.
Eric Swan at 316 pounds with the Bay State Titans last year. A minor league up in Massachusetts. Kevin Gogan was shaken up on the play, and he heads over to the sideline. Time has been called with 14 seconds left. Dallas up 10-7. Aikman lobs it to Emmitt Smith. He tries to get out of bounds and does at the 46, but he picked up only a yard or so. And 7 seconds left and time for a Hail Mary. Lorenzo Lynch made the tackle.
Well, the Cardinal defense is getting great pressure on Aikman this first half. They've dropped him 4 times, and that time they chased him up into the pocket and didn't allow him time enough to look down the field.
Well, earlier this season at home, the Cowboys gave up 11 sacks to the Philadelphia Eagles. Other than that 1 game, the offensive line has done a pretty decent job, but today, 4 sacks in the first half. Aikman going deep, that'll be picked off. Tim McDonald makes the interception, and he grabs it at the 2-yard line just like a punt, but that is Aikman's 8th interception of the season and his 5th in the last 2.5 games. That's the end of the first half. With our score, the Cowboys take.
The NFL Today Dockers Halftime Report is sponsored by Levi's Dockers. Relax, you're among friends.
Oh, welcome back to our studios in New York, everyone. Along with Terry Bradshaw, I'm Greg Gumbel. Halftime of the Cardinals-Cowboys game. And let's run down the scores for you and the highlights. At halftime in Dallas, the Cowboys leading the Cardinals by a score of 10-7. Emmitt Smith and Johnny Johnson with the touchdown runs there, and a field goal has the Cowboys up 3 at halftime. As they approach halftime at Anaheim, the Rams and the New Orleans Saints are tied at 10. Steve Walsh to Craig Hayward, 22-yard touchdown for the Saints. Robert Del Pino, a 2-yard touchdown run for L.A. Miami at Indianapolis, the Colts winless in 8, and they trail the Dolphins 10-0 as they approach halftime in Indianapolis. Marino has thrown a 12-yard touchdown pass to Duper. Earlier today, the 7-1 Houston Oilers to visit the 8-0 Washington Redskins, and this one went to overtime as the fans and the band was excited about it. 6-6 tie, fourth quarter. Ernest Biner breaks free for a 23-yard touchdown run. That put the Redskins up 13-6. But in the fourth quarter, Lorenzo White with a 1-yard touchdown to tie the game. They go to overtime, and then Warren Moon.
Notice the pressure from the backside. Moon throwing off balance, throws the ball low. And if you're going to get one by Darrell Green, you better have your feet planted firmly.
Gave the Redskins their break. Chip Lohmiller from 41 yards out won it. Jim Gray talked with Darrell Green. Big game, Darrell?
I mean, you know, I'm from Houston. Everybody's looking. I'm out of my mind.
Well, we'll be out of our minds next week. Washington will host the Atlanta Falcons. The NFL today at 12:30 Eastern. At Atlanta, Steve Young on the sideline. Steve Bono comes on for John Taylor.
Yeah, he beats Deion Sanders. Deion playing with that bad left leg. Should have been out of there. Could have cost the Falcons this game, but it didn't, Greg.
It was a big one for us today, and we'll take them any way we can get it. And the only thing that comes close for me would be winning a state championship in high school.
Falcons sweep the 49ers twice this season. At Chicago, the Bears and the Lions in a battle for the top spot in the NFC Central. Good day for Harbaugh to Davis.
Look at this adjustment. Davis actually well covered, adjust on the ball. A lot of wind in that area. Now here's the improvement, Harbaugh. Normally a guy that can scramble would take off when he gets pressured. But now he's growing up, he scrambles, gets out, finds Davis for a second TD to the TD pass of the day.
The Bears now are 7-2. Tampa at Minnesota. Tom Kelly paying a visit to the sideline. Terry Allen, 2 touchdowns today. This one's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, look at this. Terry Allen, you know, they got Walker and all those other guys, Dozier. But now here comes Terry Allen, over 100 yards rushing.
And the Vikings are 5-5 on the year. The Bucks fall to 1-8. At the Meadowlands, the Jets and the Packers. Don Majkowski sidelined with a hamstring injury. This was a day for Hail Marys. There's Ken O'Brien.
You know, this is something else. I've never thrown a Hail Mary because I was afraid it would be intercepted. But look at this. Should have been, could have been, would have been, but was not, as Burkett makes the grab.
16-16 tie in overtime. Pat Leahy, old reliable, from 37 yards out. The Jets are winners. They're 5-4 on the year. 19-16 the final score. In Buffalo, the Bills average almost 40 points a game at home, but today they managed 22, but it was enough. Jim Kelly, a 14-yarder to Don Beebe right there. Their lowest point total at Rich Stadium this year. The Bills are 8-1. And Cincinnati, their first of the year, big play, the Eric Thomas block of Matt Stover's kick.
Stover earlier in the year with 9 seconds left had beaten the Cincinnati Bengals in Cleveland with a field goal. A little revenge for Sam Weiss as he gets their first victory of the year. They block it.
And the Cleveland Browns are a team that Sam Weiss would want to beat if you had to pick any of them. Meanwhile, let's update one score for you. At Anaheim, Wesley Carroll on yet another Hail Mary pass from Steve Walsh. The Saints go ahead, and this is the play.
Well, it is Sunday, Greg. And good things happen on Sunday, which is fun day.
And the NFL today continues here on CBS after this prayer from your local station.
Halftime at Texas Stadium in Irving. The Cowboys lead at 10-7, and they got off to a most auspicious start when Alexander Wright returned the opening kickoff 71 yards.
It's a great start for the Cowboys, and especially for Wright. He had been replaced in the starting lineup. He does a nice job of getting into the pass. Great speed.
Alexander Wright going to the right side as Dan is having some problems with his mic, but we got those corrected. And that was a 71-yarder followed by a field goal. And then the two teams traded. Well, actually, Dallas got a touchdown from Emmitt Smith at the end of an 80-yard drive, and then Phoenix really took control of the ballgame.
Well, the way the Cowboys started the game, they scored on their first 2 possessions, as they did in the first game back in Phoenix. But the Phoenix defense coming up with 4 sacks in this second quarter, 3 by Ken Harvey and 1 by Eric Swan.
2 touchdowns in the first half, and here's how they sounded. The first by Emmitt Smith, the second by Johnny Johnson. Emmitt Smith, touchdown Dallas. High formation. Johnson, touchdown Phoenix. And 10-7, but I was most impressed with the way Phoenix seemed to control the ballgame after falling behind by 10. The Cowboys do have 97 first quarter yards, but look at that for Phoenix in the second quarter, 121, and the 4 sacks in the first half. Dallas had given up only 20 all season, and 11 of those in one game against Philadelphia. Cowboys will kick off to open the second half. Larry Centers and Anthony Edwards are the two deep men for the red-clad Phoenix Cardinals. Here is Ken Willis, who has only 3 touchbacks on kickoffs this year, and this isn't one of them. It's Larry Centers out to the 25-yard line. A 17-yard return, and Tom Tupa, who was at 50% in the first half, 9 of 18 for 82 yards, leads the Cardinal offense on the field.
Spot the ball at the 25-yard line where it is 1st and 10 Phoenix.
Tupa with those 82 yards, and John Johnson with 73 yards on 13 carries. Cardinals trail, 1st and 10 at their own 25. Play fake, Tupa. Batted down for the second time. It's Tony Talbert who gets this one.
That is so frustrating for a quarterback because you're back there, you're reading the defense, you see the guy come open, you throw the ball, and it only goes 3 feet and comes right back at you. There's probably nothing as frustrating aside from an interception. Watch Tolbert. He's nowhere near the quarterback, working against Tootie Robbins, but playing the basketball player, getting up in the air, knocked it right back to Tupa.
2nd down and 10, Phoenix. Ernie Jones is the motion man. Johnny Johnson, see if the Cowboys can stop him in the second half. They certainly couldn't in the first 2 quarters.
You see the blue paint on top of Johnson's helmet. Well, that's from a Dallas Cowboy helmet. You see a couple of sticks on the side, but that lets you know that you got a running back that's willing to put his head in there. There's a few of his offensive linemen that are putting their heads in there too.
Bill Lewis. 100 to 40 on the ground. Third and 4. Tupa. Flags are down. And it may be a dead play. The whistle may have blown before the play got underway.
Flag on the play and a stop. That's by number 51.
Looks like it's going to go against the Cowboys.
We have a false start on the right offensive tackle. There was no play. Prior to the whistle, it would be 3rd down.
That's on Tootie Robbins.
Well, here's Tootie right up here, number 63, but all these Cowboys are coming in here. They got the veteran tackle a little over anxious here. Watch as he just flinches before the ball is snapped.
And the ball is marked back to the 27-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Tupa with time comes left. Randall Hill for a 1st down at the 37-yard line. So there's a case where Tootie Robbins' movement worked against the Cowboys.
Well, this is a great throw by Tupa because it's a slow developing pattern on the outside by Hill, but it's good anticipation by Tom getting the ball away, and as Hill comes out of his break, the ball is right there for him. You notice the ball is thrown high and right to Hill's hands, and he reaches out, makes the grab, and that's a big 1st down, especially after they had to overcome the penalty by Tootie Robbins on the previous play.
1st and 10 at the 36. Cardinals down 10 to 7. They have doubled the number of 1st downs of the Cowboys. Here's Johnson to the right side. Talbert up on top for a tackle. Fumble! And the ball may be ruled down by contact. Isaac Holt picked it off. Ernie Jones, Bill Lewis. Not sure who else is in that. Ken Norton is one of them.
Well, they're going to say the ball was down, and let's check it out again. Nice hit in there. But that ball, tough to tell from that angle. James Washington got in there. But it was whistled down, so again, there cannot be a review by the replay officials.
Well, that evens them up. That's 2 of those today. Now, was his knee down?
2nd down 10.
Hard to tell there. The ball obviously was out, but was the knee down? It's irrelevant because the whistle blew. Second down and 9. Tupa right side, short, caught by Larry Centers, number 37. And he and Ken Norton had to be careful who you pick on now. Norton's got the genes.
Yes, he does.
Daddy was a boxer.
And a darn good one.
Former heavyweight champion Ken Norton Sr.
That's when you know you've made it as a junior, when they call your father senior. When he first came in the league, this was Ken Norton Jr., but he's done well enough in his 4 years to where now he's just plain old Ken Norton.
3rd and 7. Blitz, hot receiver. Walter Reeves driven out of bounds, short of the first down. James Washington with the tackle. Reeves with only his 5th catch of the season.
That's a big play by James Washington, because Reeves outweighs him by about 65 pounds. Reeves, number 89, quick release to the outside, and Washington uses the sideline as an extra defender, pushes him out of bounds and holds him before he can get the first down.
Rich Camarillo is on to punt. Had that 16-yarder at the end of the half. Kelvin Martin waits for it at the 10-yard line. They're blocked it. They got it. Loose ball. Robert Williams, number 23. And there's Joe Avezzano, the coach of the special teams, hugging Bill Bates, the one-time head coach at Oregon State.
Well, and he's been feeling the pressure. From the outside here is Williams, and he just comes free, and he will smother this ball as it leaves Camarillo's foot. This is the first block of the year off of Camarillo, but he has been blocked 5 times in his career.
Cowboys take over at the 39. They lead it 10-7. Aikman is 8 of 11 in the ball game. Flips it out, caught by Emmitt Smith. He flies by Tyrone Stowe and is inside the 30.
Getting back to Avezzano, the special teams of the Cowboys this year have given up a long kickoff return by the Packers. And, of course, who can forget last week when the Lions turned that game around with a blocked field goal. Take another look at the block. From the right side of the screen is number 23, Robert Williams. He goes right by Zordich, and he gets the block.
Emmitt Smith, meanwhile, was injured on the play. They are tending to him while time has been called. Emmitt Smith seems to be all right, but you wonder that sometimes this is a sport for real men.
Well, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words.
And nothing more need be said. Emmitt Smith, out of breath, I think is the euphemism. Second down at the 33-yard line.
That's the second fumble, though, that the Cardinals have forced today. 28 so far on the year.
Second down, Dallas. Ricky Blake is into the ball game and goes for the first down, and then a flag flies. Ricky Blake, who on his first carry for the Cowboys went 30 for a touchdown. A hero of the World League of American Football with San Antonio, and also a veteran of the Canadian League. New Orleans leading the Rams, and Miami on top of Indianapolis.
Boy, that's an unusual call. Holding against the defense on a running play.
Well,
you could get good money odds that that would have against the offense.
The hands on the defense to the face mask. It's first down.
Why don't they just call a face mask penalty then? I don't understand why they have to give that holding signal there, illegal use of the hands to the face mask. But Ricky Blake, Jimmy Johnson likes his size and speed, 245 pounds, 6'2". He's quite a changeup. for Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith is back in. Darrell Johnson, the fullback in front of him. Alvin Harper in motion. First down, Emmitt Smith. Down to the 18-yard line. Tackle made by Freddie Joe Nunn. Smith, who's been held in check today with 43 yards on 12 carries and 2 fumbles, though neither has been lost.
Well, special teams have set up the Cowboy offense very well this afternoon. Remember the first play of the game when Alexander Wright went 71 yards with the opening kickoff, and then Robert Williams now to start the second half blocks Camarillo, sets up the offense in great shape.
Novacek been a quiet factor in this game. He's caught 2. He's the motion man. Now he starts back to the left, followed by Lorenzo Lynch. Hot receiver is Johnston, and he gets a block downfield and is out of bounds, or down rather, at the 1. Darrell Johnston. A gain of 17.
Well, Johnston is right here. The action goes away. He slips into the secondary here, and if he's just a little bit more patient, he could have set up his block. Look at Alfredo Roberts coming along with him. This is the only guy that could stop Johnston. That's Zordich. He stops him at the 1. But if Johnston was a little more patient, he could have got some help from Alfredo and got in the end zone.
16th catch this year for the fullback. First and goal. Emmitt Smith. No TD. Down to the 1-foot line. Smith has scored 1 today, the only Dallas touchdown.
Well, he gets up in the air, but the Cardinals, great shot there by Eric Hill, number 58. He stuffs the fullback and does not allow Emmitt to get in the end zone. Great job by number 58 there. Boy, he's feeling it too. That's a heck of a collision there right at the goal line.
Weingrad is the extra blocker on the right side. The strength of the formation to the left. They'll try Smith again. This time he's in. Touchdown, Dallas. And it was all set up by the block of the Camarillo punt by number 23, Robert Williams.
Well, it works the second time because there's no penetration by the Cardinals. This time it's Tyrone Stowe that takes a shot from Johnston right in the chops. Hill is a little bit late, and Emmitt Smith's in for his second touchdown of the day.
Ken Willis out of Novacek's hole. The extra point is up and good. So the Cowboys travel 39 yards. The big offensive play on the drive, the pass to Darrell Johnston, then Johnston's block on Stowe allows Emmitt Smith to get in for the touchdown. 17-7, Dallas leads it. 8:10 to go, third quarter. That guy's not really cold. He's just getting ready to go skiing in Steamboat in 2 weeks. Here's the kick by Willis. Out of bounds, it'll come out to the 35. That flag for the out-of-bounds kick, and the Cardinals will take over at their 35. Next Saturday, it's the Amico Centel Championship Golf Tournament. This event takes place at the Hilton Head National Golf Club and features 40-something golfers. Tom Weiskopf, Buzzy Zeller, Tom Kite, Johnny Miller, and many more. That's Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern here on CBS. First and 10, Phoenix at the 35-yard line. Cardinals, so falling behind 10-0, dominated much of the first half. They had a punt blocked on their first series in the second half. Here's Tupa. Left side to Ricky Prohl. First down, Phoenix at the 45-yard line, 46.
Ricky Prohl.
It's a good mismatch for the Cardinals. You get a wide receiver on a strong safety. Here is Prohl, 87 on 37, Washington. And you can see that's just no contest there. But Washington is a strong safety. That means that he does not really have that cornerback coverage ability, but he's a big hitter. But that's the type of mismatch the Cardinals would like to see all day.
Prohl with 4 catches. First and 10, Phoenix at the 46. They trail 10. Johnson, big hole. Norton with the first contact, but that was at the 50-yard line. And Johnny Johnson down at the Cowboy 47.
Well, the Cardinals look like the best team in the world going between the 20s and the 20. They just have been so impressive moving the ball at times today. It looks like the Cowboys can't even control them. And yet you look at the scoreboard, the Cardinals are down by 10.
Alvin Harper on the Cowboy bench. Second down and 3. Blitz on the running play, and it worked. Ken Norton. You normally associate a blitz with a pass, but that was a blitz on the run, and Norton knifed through to stop Johnson.
Well, what you try to do on a blitz is to fill all these gaps along the line of scrimmage, so you give this man no place to run. Watch as the Cowboys come up with the blitz. They're just outnumbered there, the Cardinals are, and Norton gets a free shot at the running back.
That's a loss of 1, 3rd and 4. Tupa back with time again, comes left, incomplete. Through the hands of Larry Centers, and then Randall Hill running for it, and he couldn't quite get there. It'll be 4th down. .647 to go, quarter number 3.
Pass incomplete to Larry Centers.
Camarillo back at his last one blocked by Robert Williams. This time it looks like the return is on all the way. Connie Kawhi is the center. Nice and high. Kelvin Martin with a fair catch. Called at the 15-yard line. And a couple of words exchanged. Isaac Holt and Ron Wolfley with greetings for each other. 32-yard punt for Camarillo. Well, get a fresh. Intensive discussion going on in the Cowboy bench during the timeout with Butch Davis, the defensive line coach. And the Cowboys up 17-7, a first down at their own 16-yard line. Alvin Harper starts in motion. Emmitt Smith, he is stuffed. Tyrone Stowe, number 90, who has played most of the game in place of Garth Jacks. We were told back in the first half that was a coach's decision, that Jack had some slight neck injuries, but
Daniel Stubbs on the sidelines looking at the Polaroids. That's a heck of an innovation where the players, they take these pictures during the last series of downs, and the players can come over on the sidelines and see exactly what the coaches are talking about as far as alignment's concerned.
Emmitt Smith, 44 yards on 15 carries, the number 1 rusher coming in to today's game in the NFL. 2nd and 11. Aikman for Novacek, caught at the 21. That's Novacek's 3rd catch in front of Tim McDonald.
Well, Novacek says that Tim McDonald covers him better than anybody in the NFL. But if it wasn't for the great pass by Aikman, McDonald might have knocked this one away, but that's a perfect throw and catch by the Cowboys.
Michael Irvin and Jay Novacek, the second top twosome in the NFL coming in today. Jeffries and Gibbons, number 1 at Houston. And Irvin with 2 catches. That play was reviewed, we're being told, and will stand as called. So between the two of them, Novacek and Irvin with 5 catches today. Dallas yet to convert a 3rd down, and they've got a 3rd and 5 here. Irvin dropped by Emmitt Smith. It'll be 4th down.
Well, again, a great job in the Cardinals secondary. Fritz Shurmur's defense is forcing Aikman to come off his primary receiver, really not wanting to dump that one down to Emmitt Smith. Smith would have had a tough time picking up the first down if he had caught that ball.
Number 80, John Jackson. Mike Saxon.
That brings on Mike Saxon to punt on 4th and 5. Dallas still looking for its first third down conversion. John Jackson back at the 40, and a big return tarnished by a fumble in the first half. And that one sends Jackson way back to the 25. He comes left and is down at the 40-yard line. And Bill Bates and Larry Setters get engaged in a little altercation that doesn't last long. There's Bates. A 53-yard Saxon punt, but 13 on the return by John Jackson. And the Cardinals have the first down at the 40-yard line. They trail 17-10. Difference in the game thus far, the kicking game.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.
5:01 remaining third quarter. Cowboys up 17-7 over the Phoenix Cardinals. It was 10-7 at the half. Robert Williams blocked a Rich Camarillo punt, and that ultimately resulted in an Emmitt Smith touchdown. There's Ernie Jones heading wide right.
Yeah, Jones is without a catch so far today.
He had a tough game last week against Minnesota with a couple of drops. Here's Tupa. Looks for Jones, deep right side. And is picked off at the 10. James Washington. First interception of this season. He had 2 against the Cardinals last year.
Well, Tupa's trying to get this ball to Jones all the way, but this is zone coverage. You notice that Isaac Holt takes the short part of the zone, lets Jones go right through, knowing that Washington is deep, and that's a great catch by James Washington because Ernie Jones was all over his back. You talked about his bad day last week against Minnesota. Well, Jones dropped a sure touchdown pass in the first game against the Cowboys.
That game last year, Washington had 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and a fumble forced, and was named NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Here the Cowboys hand off Emmitt Smith. And the Cardinals have prepared superbly against him. 16 carries now for 47 yards.
Well, Fritz said that to me earlier in the week, he said we've got to eliminate the long runs by Emmitt Smith. We've got to change up our defensive fronts. We've got to give them a look of a blitz a lot of times. We've got to fill all those gaps along the line of scrimmage and play disciplined defense, keep our eyes on Emmitt, and they've done a heck of a job doing that so far.
Emmitt Smith, who had 182 yards against the Cardinals in game 1. They'll try it again to Smith, and he nudges his way out to the 15-yard line. The clock showing 4:05. It'll be another third down for Dallas, and they have yet to get a third down conversion. 0 of 6.
Eric Hill on the stop.
Under 4 minutes, third quarter.
Yeah, a big part of the good job the Cardinals coverage that they've done with their coverage today has been the return of Robert Massey to the lineup after his bout with hepatitis. He gives the Cardinals another outstanding man-to-man coverage guy to go along with Aeneas Williams.
3rd and 6. Aikman picked off. No, bobbled. Or was it caught and dropped? Yes. That is ruled an interception, a fumble, and a Cardinal recovery.
Williams picked it off, and Williams recovered his own fumble.
Aeneas Williams, who had interceptions in weeks 1 and 2, and nothing since.
Well, we talked about the coverage of these cornerbacks, and Williams, as a rookie, is probably the best in the NFL right now. With the tight man-to-man coverage on Kelvin Martin, he says his hero is Lester Hayes. He needs a little more of Lester's stickum to hang on to that ball. Great interception as he cuts in front of Kelvin Martin. And they're going to review this to make sure that he had it.
We have an interception down by contact. First down, Phoenix.
Interception down by contact. Tom Dooley didn't say anything at all about the fumble.
Well, the referees seem to always have as a fail-safe call that the whistle blew. And already today we've had 2 of those. This could be the 3rd one. But we're not getting the communication from Dooley.
Now we're told by the NFL communicator. Here's Dooley.
Contact on the 20-yard line. Phoenix's ball, 1st and 10. We have a reversal on the play.
There is a reversal. They did review it. There was no fumble. So it's called an interception and then down by contact.
Well, and it's Phoenix ball. So they're saying right here after he catches the ball that he is down because of the contact that Kelvin Martin made.
Then there's the fumble, but that was after the interception. So Aikman has now been picked off twice in this game, twice last week, twice the week before. At the 20. Tupa to Johnson. Phoenix does have the 1 touchdown on the ground in this game, but they have had enormous problems this season inside the 20-yard line.
Now the Cowboys are almost serving up this game to the Cardinals on a platter. This turnover inside the 20 is a great opportunity for Joe Bugel's team to get back in this game down by 10 at this time.
2nd and 8, 2:43 remaining, 3rd quarter. Johnson again. This time they're waiting for him. Del Rio and Norton and Tolbert and Stubbs and Dixon Edwards.
And just as the game is being served up to him, they're refusing it. Handing the ball off twice to Johnson. That'll bring up a nickel situation on 3rd and about 8. And this is not the strong part of the Cardinal offense, is their passing game inside the red area.
And now they come forward with 3rd down. Blitz. Tupa lets it go. Picked off. Intercepted by Robert Williams. A one-time starter in the Cowboy defensive backfield. He's now become a nickel back and a special team star. And today, a block punt and an interception.
Well, Tupa's going to get blamed for the interception, but they hand the ball off on 1st and 2nd down. They get nothing, and now they expect the quarterback to go back and make the play for them. Play calling a little suspect there. After getting a turnover in 3 plays, they give it right back to the Cowboys.
Tom Tupa had time to react with frustration and then go make the tackle. 1st down, Dallas. Play fake, Aikman. Novacek. Zordich knocks him out of bounds, and a flag is thrown at the near side of the field. Michael Irvin is going to be the beneficiary of a penalty call. Away from the play.
Jay Novacek, flag on the play.
On Aeneas Williams, I believe.
Well, they probably should decline this penalty because it looks as though the play, after a measurement, it may be enough for the 1st down. But you see the difference in the play selection there after the turnover. The Cowboys put it in the air. So often, the turnover demoralizes the defense that has to come out on the field. And what happens is those big guys up front that are in charge of rushing the passer, they don't come with as much intensity as normally. They're still trying to get over the mental part of the turnover, and so it's a great opportunity to go back and throw the ball. Very rarely will you have a sack on a play like that because the intensity level of the defense is way down.
Holding, number 35, the penalty is declined. 1st down.
Yeah, it was Aeneas Williams on Michael Irvin, but the Cowboys did pick up the 1st down. New Orleans holds on to continue leading the Rams. Jimmy Johnson, who said in the summer, I think the Cowboys are a playoff team. He put a lot of pressure on himself and the ball club to make the playoffs because they have some kind of torturous schedule ahead of them. Johnston and Ricky Blake in the backfield now on first down and 10. Aikman, deep right side for Alvin Harper. And it is way wide right to the outside. Those of you who watched the Dallas-Detroit game last week saw Troy Aikman misfire on a similar pass to Alexander Wright, and Aeneas Williams limps off. Now, he's got 30 of his family here in the stands from New Orleans today. No, they hope he'll get back in there.
But again, it's Aikman having trouble connecting on a deep pass. It seems like when he throws it to the right side of the field, his ball has a tendency to drift out of bounds.
Is that a valid complaint about him? Do you think he does have trouble getting deep?
Well, I think it's more a case of getting used to his receivers. He's working with some guys that, like Harper and Wright, that are youngsters in their own right, and he's just trying to be sure with the pass. But he is having the tendency to throw the ball out of bounds on long passes.
Ricky Blake with that last carry. And yet one more third down for the Cowboys. 0 of 7 on third downs.
But this is probably their most manageable third down situation so far. Third down and 4 to go.
Irvin goes left. Harper comes right. Blitz coming. Aikman finds Harper. And he's got the first down at the 41 with his third catch of the day. That's a gain of 13.
Well, it's so important for the Cowboys to get performance out of this man because he has a lot of physical ability. You see him going off the field now, but if they can get him, and Irvin says, hey, you're not going anywhere. You got to tough it out, fella.
Well, Harper won the argument. He's going to get a rest, and Alexander Wright takes his place. That's the end of the third quarter with our score, Dallas 17 and Phoenix 7. Our coverage continues after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Alvin Harper, one of 4 rookies who started for the Cowboys today. And how have they done? Well, let's check. Harper, 3 catches, 67 yards.
Well, we'll give him a B.
Okay.
We'll give Williams a D- for those 3 sacks. Brown, hey, that's a B+. And Edwards, that's a C.
How come the B for Harper?
Well, he's a rookie. I don't give A's to rookies.
Kelvin Martin just to his left. Alvin Harper limped off and probably will be back in. Alexander Wright has taken his place. Now this is Wright in motion. Ricky Blake.
The gift to number 46, Ricky Blake.
Came into the game with 6 carries for 38 yards, all against Cincinnati. Young man who played in the World League, also the Canadian League with Winnipeg. He even spent some time with a semi-pro team in Oklahoma City.
And the Cowboys did a smart thing with him when he joined the team. They put him on the injured reserve so his body could rest and get ready for the NFL, which is a few notches above all those other initials.
Second down. At the 40, Dallas up by 10, final quarter. Vern Lundquist along with Dan Fouts. Aikman to Blake. To the 35. And that's his first catch of the season.
Well, and he found out about the intensity of the National Football League with that hit. But when you talk about a storybook way of starting your NFL career against Cincinnati, he goes 30 yards with his first carry for a touchdown. That's like hitting a grand slam your first time up in baseball.
Dallas now with another third down. They have converted 1 of 8. And they lead it by 10. Novacek followed by McDonald. Blitz is coming. Aikman finds the hot receiver. Michael Irvin with the first down at the 25. Irvin, who is having his best season. He has already surpassed the number of catches he made in his best years. That was 32. And suffered a knee injury and was out for the equivalent of almost a full year.
Boy, and you can just see his confidence grow in the nonverbal communication part of the game with the quarterback. That ball was well on its way long before Irvin had stopped on his hook pattern. A lot of confidence between Aikman and his receiver.
1st and 10. Alvin Harper starts in motion. Ricky Blake, whoa, he almost dropped it. And then totes that 240 down to the 11-yard line. Fumble!
The ball was stripped away, but the official is saying that his forward progress was stopped before Robert Massey ripped it away from him. At the first part of this play, Vern, you were right. He didn't have the ball. Picks it up. Now the hole is that much bigger. But watch at the end of this play as the Cardinals gang tackle him. Zordich, Lynch, and Massey. Massey's ripping it away right now. But again, it's one of those officials calling the play dead. Stop of forward progress. And his knee might even have been down. That's a good call.
Play whistle dead at the end of the ball, at the end of the run. And the Cowboys do have a first down. There's Massey finally hauling it out, but the knee appeared to be down. Alvin Harper in motion. Blake again. Down to the 10-yard line. Emmitt Smith with 48 yards and 17 carries. We've no official word from the bench that he's out with an injury. They may be just giving him a rest, but we're checking on that.
Yeah, it was interesting. In that Cincinnati game, I asked Johnson if he was giving Emmitt Smith the rest at that time when he put Blake in for his first carry. He said, no, not really. I like Ricky Blake. I like that 245 pounds. I want to see what he can do.
Well, he's rushed for 28 yards on 5 carries and 1 catch so far. And we've now been told from the Cowboy bench that this is just a rest period for Emmitt Smith. 10th play of the drive for the Cowboys. 2nd down and 8 from the 10. Blake again. Down to the 8-yard line. And here comes Emmitt Smith back onto the field. .10:40 remaining in the ballgame.
Well, we got an interesting situation coming up now with 3rd down and about 6 yards, but only on the 8-yard line. The field shrinks so much here. Tough to get the ball in these type of zones. 8-yard line, the field shrinks so much here. Tough to get the ball in these type of zones.
Harper goes wide right. Kelvin Martin starts in motion. Quarterback draw, and the Cardinals were ready for it. Freddie Joe Nunn not fooled for a second. And Ken Harvey was also right there.
Well, they'll share that sack because although it was a running play, they got Aikman in the backfield. Watch as nobody blocks Nunn on the right side of our screen, and Harvey lined up inside that time on the guard, and they're going to take half a sack each. There you see Nunn working scot-free on the outside.
That brings on Ken Willis for a 27-yard field goal. He's kicked 1 of 36 in the first half. Got it.
That ball was deflected, too.
I thought so.
Yeah, you could hear the double thud there, but it went through.
And it increases the Dallas lead to 13 with 9:51 remaining.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
Thus far in the ballgame, Johnny Johnson 11 shy of his first 100-yard game of the season, but Phoenix has turned it over 3 times. Emmitt Smith has been limited to a half 100 yards -2, and Troy Aikman, despite being 15 of 21, has thrown a couple of interceptions. The real difference in this ball game, the kicking game. And there's Ken Willis, short kick, bounces up and taken by Larry Centers, who gets it out near the 34-yard line. Let's go back and take a look at that last field goal by Ken Willis, Dan.
Well, let's check out Ken Harvey's having a heck of a day with 3.5 sacks. He's number 56 right here. Watch as he penetrates, and now let's listen for the dreaded double thud.
Well, thud.
Just got 3 fingers on it. If he would have got a couple more, he might have stopped it from going through.
Ken Harvey, 3 sacks in the first half. Tom Tupa's last 2 passes were picked off. That one's batted up in the air and almost picked off again. Jeffcoat this time. That is 3 times today that the Cowboy defensive line has deflected Tupa's passes.
Well, and some of it is Tupa's fault for that sidearm delivery of his. Here he is. He's 6'5", but he throws it as if he was only 5'11". Jeffcoat with great timing with his left hand, and Tupa's real lucky that 3rd pass wasn't intercepted.
13 of 27 for Tom Tupa. He's going deep right side, and Randall Hill is open, but he was out of bounds, and it is knocked away. Oh, we talked about that unusual throwing motion of Tom Tupa. It's not even 3/4, it's almost Ewell Blackwell submarine style. What is the difference in how you threw it and how he does?
Well, you know, you try to get up high here because you have all those defensive linemen that are so tall, and we can see how they can jump. But Tupa has a tendency to come down here, and so it's very easy to see the ball and also to deflect it at the line of scrimmage.
And that has happened to him 3 times today. Under pressure, goes left, dropped. Johnson. It'll be 4th down. 9:25 remaining in the ball game. Joe Bugle.
Following the incomplete pass, deep on formation, Rich Camarillo.
Absolutely one of the most enjoyable men in the NFL in his 2nd full season. Calvin Martin back to return the punt of Rich Camarillo. Fair catch at the 32. Cowboys defense holds a 34-yard punt. Camarillo not having a good day, and he's had a terrific season. Dallas has it with a 13-point lead. 20-7, Dallas has the lead. 9:17 remaining. Cowboys trying to go 3-2 at home for the season, and 6-3 for the season. Alvin Harper starts in motion. Aikman hands it off to Emmitt Smith, and he dances out across the 35 to the 36, his 18th carry of the ball game. Coming up next week, the NFL on CBS. Atlanta at Washington. Cowboys go to Houston. Philadelphia's at Cleveland, and the 49ers are at New Orleans. And 4 o'clock, the Phoenix Cardinals back home against the New York Giants. Troy Aikman and his teammates make their visit to the House of Pain down at the Astrodome. 2nd down and 7. 8:38 remaining in the game. Aikman back, left side. Caught by Kelvin Martin, or rather Michael Irvin. And there's a flag in the offensive backfield, roughing the passer.
Well, Aikman is as tough a quarterback as there is in the NFL. But the first thing you notice about him is his ability to throw the deep out pattern.
Roughing the passer, a blow to the head.
Oh, that's a shot right in the face by Tyrone Stowe. Aikman told me earlier in the year that he's taken 40 stitches to his chin. That's why he wears that plastic chin strap. But you talk about a tough guy. That was a heck of a shot, and the ball was perfectly thrown.
To Michael Irvin. Plus the penalty.
Tyrone got his money's worth on that one.
41.5-yard line, 1st and 10.
Somebody might get some of his money if they review it. Other scores from earlier this afternoon. The Cowboys trying to go 6-3. Phoenix 4-5 on the season. They started off so impressively with 2 road wins. Here's Emmitt Smith after the penalty is marked off to the Phoenix 41. He's down to the 37-yard line.
Well, you can see the frustration of Craig Patterson, number 76. It's like, how could I possibly miss him? I had him dead to right. But Emmitt is the type of guy that just does not give you a clean shot at him.
Emmett Smith gets 4 yards. Second down.
Go back and take a look at Troy Aikman's delivery when he was hit in the face by Tyrone Stowe.
Well, that's just pure courage there because he knows he's going to get it. He knows his job is to get the ball to his receiver. Look at that perfect throw under the worst type of condition.
Toss to Smith with Tommy Agee leading the way. And he's down to the 33-yard line. Aeneas Williams makes the tackle.
That type of play by Aikman is what will set him apart from many, many quarterbacks in the National Football League. It's that intangible part of the game called courage that you have to have, especially in this type of offense.
Where do you put him, Dan, in respect with regard to some of the Elways and Marinos and current quarterbacks in the league?
Well, he's only in his 3rd year in the league, so I don't put him in that company just yet. But the more I see of him, the more I like him because I can see almost through a crystal ball his future, which when you combine it with his age and the fact that he's now running an outstanding offense by Norv Turner, it's a great combination. Aikman is going to be in the top echelon of NFL quarterbacks.
He was the #1 draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys 3 years ago. They have to use a timeout. 6:35 remaining. Texas Stadium in Irving, the Cowboys 6 minutes and 35 seconds away from their 6th victory of the year. 20-7. Troy Aikman didn't really get along that well with David Shula, the former offensive coordinator, and his teammates referred to him as kind of a wild horse, a thoroughbred. And Kevin Gogan and some of the line has had some fun with Aikman this year because he's got such a solid relationship with the new offensive coordinator, Norv Turner. They say that Aikman, instead of being a wild horse, is now a member of a petting zoo.
He's sold out.
3rd and 2. Flags are down.
Well, it's either 66 white or 66 red. Gogan in the white or Waller.
I think they're going to call it on Waller, judging from the respective reactions of the two.
Boy, and judging from all the blue paint on all these white helmets, you wonder if the Cowboys came out here today with wet paint on their helmets. Has been mixing it up.
Well, we've got another look at Gogan's jersey. I am reminded watching these officials huddle. I watched here's the
Encroachment, 66 defense.
They got Waller, and that'll be a first down for Dallas. I was watching a superb NFL Films documentary the other night called Autumn Ritual, and they quoted the columnist George Will. He said, the thing that is the biggest problem football has is that it combines the two most evil elements of the 20th century, violence and committee meetings. First and 10 Dallas. 6:35 remaining in the ball game. Cowboys have been penalized just once. They haven't been penalized that much this year, only 40 times. Emmett Smith. Oh, the Cardinals have held him in check today. Tyrone Stowe, one of those who helped with a tackle.
Hey, you know, the Cardinal defense has really played a darn good football game. They've been victimized by special teams. The opening kickoff of the day put the Cowboys inside the 20-yard line. Then a blocked punt by Robert Williams set the Cowboy offense up in good shape. But this Cardinal defense, they've come up with 5 sacks today, and they've held Emmett Smith in check, as you said, Vern.
Cowboys have reversed the time of possession stat from the first game. It's 2nd down and 10 now with 5:50 remaining in the ball game. Aikman finally gets rid of it to Novacek, and he is down at the 22-yard line. Tyrone Stowe with a tackle.
Well, Novacek is in motion here, number 84, and he is Troy's outlet receiver on this play. Good job of just working, staying alive for your quarterback, and picking up a nice gain.
Novacek with 5 catches now for 38 yards. And that gives him 46 for the season. Michael Irvin has 4 catches today, so he's got 46 for the year. Time has been called by the Cardinals. It comes with 5:32 remaining in the game. Cowboys lead it by 13, 5:32 remaining. Dallas at Houston next week. The Cardinals back home against the New York Giants. 3rd and 4. Up the middle to Daryl Johnston, the fullback from Syracuse. Yesterday, Johnston, commenting about his lack of running, said, how about this? I got 7 catches or 7 runs for the year. Well, there's number 8.
Well, the key to this play is Emmitt Smith. Watch as he'll swing here. They'll give the ball to Johnston, and he'll cut back over the center. Coming into the game with just a 2.6 yard per carry average, he doubles that time, picks up a key first down.
Daryl Johnston says, here I am with 7 catches for the season. And Emmitt Smith thinks he's had an off day if he doesn't carry 30 times a game. 1st and 10, Dallas. Johnston. Well, there's his 9th carry of the year.
Well, that average is going to go way up because he's getting good push from the line of scrimmage. These guys up front, Giesick and Stepnoski, and Nate Newton on the right side. Gogan comes off and just crushes Stowe, and that's where Johnston cuts back and takes the ball inside the 10. He's having fun.
16 yards. His total for the season was 18.
You got to go in and renegotiate.
Give me the ball again, coach. Johnston and Smith in the backfield. He has led the way for 2 Emmitt Smith touchdowns. 1st and goal from the 6. They gave it to him. And he's down to the 3.
Now, we talked about the schedule for the Cowboys coming up. They've got Houston with the Battle of Texas next week down in the Dome. And then the Giants on the road and Washington on the road. And Jimmy Johnson says, you know, I'm not that worried about this schedule. We played Houston in the preseason. We practiced against them. We've already beaten the Giants. We almost beat the Redskins, so we're familiar with these opponents. But he's still got to play them, and he's still got to play them on the road.
And then the team gets back home for Thanksgiving against Pittsburgh. 2nd and goal from the 3. Johnston has carried the last 3 times. Here's Smith. More familiar territory. Johnston lead, and Smith gets his 3rd touchdown of the day.
Well, again, it's the lead draw play for the Cowboys, the play they scored on to begin their scoring for the day. Again, it's Emmitt Smith following Daryl Johnston on that right side behind Giesick and Nate Newton. Stepnoski with a nice block. And total domination on that drive on the ground by the Cowboys.
Emmitt Smith coming in today. The Cowboys were 10-0 when he carried 18 times or more in a game. He's carried 22 times today. So that record may stay unblemished. Willis's extra point gives the Cowboys a 20-point lead.
A couple of things to look at on this lead draw. Right here is Nate Newton on Jeff Faulkner, but watch also the outstanding block of Daryl Johnston on Tyrone Stowe as he cuts his legs out from under him and allows Emmitt to get in the end zone. Good teamwork. But you almost kind of wish that they gave the ball to Johnston for all the hard work he did on that drive to get him down on that goal line. But that's not the way it's going to work when you got Emmitt Smith in the backfield.
Anthony Edwards and Larry Centers are the deep men. This will be Edwards at the 7. He comes to his right. And James Washington does a pretty good job of containing Larry Centers. That's a return of 20.
Why you going to hit me right here?
And Mickey Pruitt a little slow getting up for the Cowboys. Rams still leading, as is Miami.
Emmitt Smith has scored 8 touchdowns on the ground this year. 5 have been against the Phoenix Cardinals.
And the sun beginning to set here at Irving, Texas Stadium in Irving. The clock shows 2:56 remaining in the ball game. 27-20. And that pass complete to Randall Hill out at the 45-yard line. Well, for the Cowboys, a complete reversal. They gave up 24 points to Detroit in the second half last week. And Steve Berline came in at the end of the game and threw 3 for 5. Looks like he may get to play again today. First down, Tupa back. Dropped.
Pass intended for Larry Centers.
Well, we talked about the Cowboys' tough schedule. Phoenix, despite playing a fifth-place schedule, has a very difficult road ahead.
Well, you know, the 49ers are going to be in a bit of a problem with Steve Young now with the bad knee, but, you know, you got the Giants at home and Philadelphia. There's a team that nobody can quite figure out, depending on the health of their quarterbacks. Has a lot to do with how they play.
2nd and 10. Blitz coming. Tupa, good protection. Knocked away by Larry Brown, the rookie at right corner.
Almost intercepted by number 24, Larry Brown.
Phoenix, well, how dismal has it been recently? One team they've defeated that has had a winning record in the last 46 games. And that was Philadelphia on the road, game 2 this year.
That was a game where their defense scored a touchdown for them, and that's something that, with only scoring 7 points again today, that 12 points per game average that they've been having so far, it's going to go down.
Tupa finds Walter Reed. No, it's Jordan, the H-back at the 50-yard line. And Kevin Gogan looks on. His work just about complete for the day. The Cowboys are up by 20. And time has been called for an injury at the 50-yard line. Looks like it might be Isaac Holt, the cornerback.
Short yardage needed by Phoenix.
I think you're right, Vern. Number 30, Isaac Holt.
Isaac Holt.
He got a shot in the back, knocked the wind out of him. It's his own man, Bill Bates, that's going to come in and tag him as he's making this tackle. Oh, that's a kidney shot. And Isaac, when he catches his breath, he's going to find out where Bates is and let him have it, I'm sure.
Oh, wait till the film session on Monday. Time has been called. Isaac Holt on the sideline with 2:03 remaining. And interesting sequence here. The time was called because of the injury. Holt went over to the sidelines. Cardinals waited until that timeout was just about over. 4th and 3, and then they called timeout. And here is Isaac Holt talking to Ken Norton. I still don't think he knows it was Bill Bates who hit him in the back.
He's not happy about it, regardless.
Mickey Pruitt kind of grinning to the side. The official attendance today, 61,190. And that marks the 12th consecutive game that attendance here at Texas Stadium is over 60,000. And somewhat surprisingly to me, that is a Cowboy club record. Even back during the glory years of the 70s, they never put together 12 crowds of over 60,000 in a row.
Well, that's amazing because with all the great players they've had here in Dallas, that the fans now hungry for those wins. They're coming out to see Jimmy Johnson's crew.
Phoenix with 1 timeout left. 4th down. Tupa back. Batted down again. James Washington, who has 1 interception, just about got his second. And we have reached the 2-minute warning. 27-7, Cowboys comfortably on top, and they have the football back. Seeing his second action of the season. He came on in relief of Aikman in the fourth quarter last week. Was 3 of 5 for 26 yards. Here he'll hand it off and they'll run out the clock. Agee and Blake. And it's Ricky Blake for a yard or 2. And the Cardinals can stop the clock just one more time if they so desire.
Now down by 20. Joe Bugle's going to just let this baby go. And regroup, try again. 7 points here today for his offense as they continue to struggle without Tim Rosenbach.
And for Jimmy Johnson, on to Houston next week for interstate meeting with the Houston Oilers, who lost a heartbreaker to Washington this afternoon. Today's game was produced by Mark Wolf and directed by Larry Cavallina. And we'll tell you more about the folks who helped after this play. On second down, it's Ricky Blake, and he picks up one down to the 47. Tackle is made by Jeff Faulkner. The NFL Today was produced by Eric Mann and directed by Duke Struck. The senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Gorin, and the executive producer is Ted Shaker.
Number 94, Jeff Faulkner on the stop.
So the Cowboys at 6-3 with 3 road games in succession coming up. Houston, New York, Washington. And the Cardinals will fall to 4-6. They've got the Giants at home next week, then at San Francisco and Philadelphia at home before the open date.
Well, and it was special teams today that gave the Cowboys the lift they needed after special teams let them down last week against the Lions.
150 yards plus for Dallas in the second half. And here is Ricky Blake with a first down to the 39-yard line. The tackle made by Michael Zordich. And that should be the final play of the game. There is an injured player. And it's Blake who's a little slow to get up. Cowboys win it. Jimmy Johnson and Joe Bugle meet at the middle of the field. Don't forget the Cowboys postgame show coming up with Greg and Terry back in our New York studios. Dallas wins it 27-7 behind Emmitt Smith's 3 touchdowns.
Number 6 for the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to our New York studios, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Terry Bradshaw, reminding you, coming up next for most of you, the CBS News Magazine 60 Minutes. Do yourself a favor before you go grocery shopping again. Watch 60 Minutes. They'll tell you something the food companies would just as soon keep to themselves. 60 Minutes next, except in the Pacific and Mountain time zones. And then it's Murder, She Wrote, followed by the CBS Sunday movie. Jaclyn Smith stars in The Rape of Dr. Willis. And remind you, too, we'll be back next Sunday with week number 11, beginning as always at 12:30 Eastern with the NFL Today. And then an outstanding slate of games. The 49ers battle the New Orleans Saints. That is a big NFC West matchup. Atlanta will visit the Redskins at RFK Stadium. Dallas challenges the Oilers at the Astrodome. The Eagles will fly to Cleveland, and the Lions head south to Tampa Bay. And in a 4 o'clock start, some of you will see the Giants playing the Phoenix Cardinals out in Sun Valley. Now, the game that you just saw here on CBS, it was the Dallas Cowboys over the Cardinals by a score of 27-7. Big day for Emmitt Smith running the football. He's the guy you always have to stop.
Well, one of the things that the Cowboys are going to do, Greg, they're going to run Emmitt Smith. They're going to run him and run him. Then they're going to bring this big guy named Blake that Johnson loves. And after they counterpunch with Smith, they'll bust him with Blake. And then, of course, you got Aikman and Novacek, and you got all those receivers. So they've got a pretty good package down there offensively.
Meanwhile, in Anaheim, 2 minutes, 15 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. The New Orleans Saints lead the Rams by a score of 24-17 as the Saints look to go 8-1. Bobby Hebert on the sideline saw Steve Walsh get the start and hits Wesley Carroll at the end of the first half.
Now, this is a great throw and a great, right between 2 people. And Carroll, how in the world he held on to it, but he did, and that put the Saints on top.
And Jim Everett, meanwhile, had a tough day early on, although he has brought the Rams back to within a touchdown. It is 24-17 with just over 2 minutes to play in Anaheim. The Rams 3-5 on the year and trying to climb back into the thick of things in the NFC West. In Indianapolis, Miami is leading the Colts by a score of 10-6, under 2 minutes to play in that game. The Dolphins up by 4. for the Colts looking for their first win. Earlier today at Soldier Field in Chicago, the Bears took over the lead in the NFC Central with a 20-10 win over the Detroit Lions. 2 touchdown passes for Jim Harbaugh to Wendell Davis, and Bears have no fear. Well, not on the natural turf anyway. Jim Harbaugh, great day.
Really a nice job. You know, that touchdown last week to Waddle really helped his confidence. He scrambled out, and the thing I like about it, instead of running, which is what he would have liked to have done, he pulled it up, looked downfield, saw Davis, and got him the football. A real mark of a guy that's improving as a quarterback.
Detroit led this game 10-3 at halftime. They were scoreless in the second half. The Bears rallied to win it. In overtime at RFK Stadium, the Redskins over the Houston Oilers by a score of 16-13. The Redskins perfect after 9 games. Warren Moon intercepted by Darrell Green. And what that did was set up Chip Lohmiller for the game-winning field goal from 41 yards out in overtime. Redskins win at 16-13. They go 9-0. Jim Gray on the scene talked with Lohmiller after the game.
I think the guys got me the opportunity, to get out here and get that kick, and I had to do my job.
Redskins are now able to lay claim to being the best team in the league, and not much argument at this stage of the season.
Well, going into this week's game, my power ranking had the Redskins and I'm telling you now, the Oilers, they were 1-2. Could have been the rematch of the Super Bowl coming up. This was a great game today.
All right, what do you think about the Falcons going to Washington next week to play the Redskins?
Well, I think they're going to go home, we're going to lose the football game. Right now, you got to stay with the Redskins. They're playing good football, good running, good defense, and today they answered a big bell when they came out and took care of the Oilers.
Reason I ask you about the Falcons, incredible game at Fulton County Stadium today against the 49ers. The Falcons survived at the last moment with a victory over the 49ers, 17-14. That's Steve Bono filling in at quarterback to John Taylor, who beats Deion Sanders to the corner, 14-10 Niners. But the Falcons, 3rd and 10 from the 40. Falcons go to 5-4 on the year. 49ers 4-5, 17-14 Atlanta, the final score. Buffalo usually scores about 40 points a game at home. Not today, but they did score enough to beat the Patriots 22-17. The final, Jim Kelly to Don Beebe here. Windy conditions at Rich
Yeah,
Stadium.
and it's getting cold, and you better have a running game. But look at this pass protection that Kelly has. That's the reason he's the #1 ranked quarterback, leading the league in every passing category there is.
237 yards and a touchdown pass for Kelly today. The Bills go to 8-1 on the year. The Patriots fall to 3-6. The New York Jets in overtime. Leahy with a winning field goal beat the Green Bay Packers by a score of 19-16. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. The Vikings win it 28-13. Terry Allen, 2 touchdowns, one of them a 54-yarder. And at Cincinnati, the Bengals survived. They beat the Cleveland Browns to win their first of the season. Matt Stover's potential game-winning field goal blocked by Eric Thomas with 9 seconds to go in the game. Sam Weish and the Bengals a winner for the first time this season. There'll be some celebrating in Cincinnati tonight.
Yeah, you bet. Stover beat them early in the year with just 4 seconds left on the clock, so the Bengals got a little revenge.
You didn't think I'd give you time to say that, did you?
I was going to get it in,
We'll
even if
see you
they
next
ran
week.
credits over the world. I was going to get that in.